which is the Michigan staff being finalized. So they're recently a graphic was rolled out. In fact, just yesterday with Biff Poggi, which of course we reported on this program maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago that this was happening, but it is official now, official. According to the Michigan Twitter, Biff Poggi, associate head coach. Look at that graphic, love it. Really captures, I think, the essence of Biff and what he's going to bring to the table. But that he leads a litany of assistants. And what I'm excited about here, TJ, and we already know most of the main coaches because we've been talking about them for close to a year. Chip Lindsey a little less, but we haven't talked as much about some of these assistant names, right? And so a couple that I want to point out, obviously Eric Soup Campbell we've discussed, but who we haven't really discussed much is Juan Castillo, who came over from UCLA, who was the O-line coach at UCLA, is now the senior assistant offensive line coach. And if you notice, almost every position group has gotten an assistant to really shore them up. Jack Clark. And this is, of course, taking advantage of some of the new rules with analysts where they are able to do some on-field coaching, whereas before that was a lot more limited. It's great to see Fred Jackson. Always great to see Fred Jackson here helping coach running backs. He's done it multiple times in the past. Do any of these names before we get into grades and all that stuff, I mean, are there any of these names that stick out to you that you wanted to just talk about that you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, the big ones are obviously the Biff Poggi, the Juan Castillo, which is, I mean, I do think that's, we didn't, so when it happened, we didn't really hit on it a lot because it kind of was in a gap between our shows.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, he has NFL offensive line coaching experience, coaching with the Baltimore Ravens, coaching with the Chicago Bears, being a part of the Washington Commanders offensive line, like running game coordinator and all that. So, he's just, and he was even the offensive line coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's been there, seen that, understands how to teach the game at the highest level, and can sit and so if we're looking at this from a 30-foot view, you can see, and to your point, John, you can see that Sherrone is trying to shore up areas where there could be a bit of experience lacking in some of these rooms, right? That's why you add a Soup Campbell, so Ron Bellamy gets that extra experience in that room. You add a Juan Castillo because you want Grant Newsome to get that extra experience in the room. It's just, again, Sherrone Moore checking his boxes and making sure this staff is sound, and we don't have the issues we ran into in year one where he had a limited offseason, had to put a staff together, here and there. No, now, going into next year, it appears the staff is in a good position. There is 2 positions on the staff, John, where I am still of question, but I'm very happy with the staff. And you can see the trajectory of the team, the way it developed and grew last year. Then look at recruiting. We're going to get into recruiting. There's a lot of good news with that as well. I mean, the boys are recruiting, bro. The boys are recruiting. So, yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with the staff, and I'm happy to see Sherrone look at areas that I wouldn't say are concerns, but areas where there's still questions, and shoring up those areas and answering questions.
Absolutely. And so when we look at the sides of the ball, starting with offense, and how Sherrone did kind of putting together his offensive staff. Obviously, the big change, the big flashy change was obviously Kurt Campbell being fired, and he has now found a new position at the Los Angeles Chargers under Jim Harbaugh as special offensive assistant. So good for him. He landed on his feet in a job. He got a job, and with Harbaugh, they're hanging out in Los Angeles. But Chip Lindsey is now the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, and I think that takes the entire room up, maybe even an entire letter grade, in my opinion, versus what I would have said at the end of last year with Kurt, before the news about Kurt Campbell. I just think Chip Lindsey knows what he's doing, and Kurt Campbell didn't, and it's really that simple. And so when you put Chip together with Tony Alford, who I think we can agree did a pretty solid job of running backs coach. There were a couple moments where I felt he could have been maybe in terms of rotating these guys out, maybe a little too much Donovan Edwards for my liking, just running straight up the middle versus utilizing him more creatively. But I liked him, and I liked Steve Kasula. The two that I think you're thinking of, TJ, are the same that I'm thinking of, which brings this down from an A to somewhere in the B minus range, in my opinion, and that's Ron Bellamy and Grant Newsome. And both of those coaches now have some assistants that have a lot of experience, including obviously Soup Campbell, the big one, but also Juan Castillo, both having significant experience at their position groups. And maybe that sets up a situation, TJ, and then I'll let you go. But maybe that sets up a situation where Bellamy and Kasula, or Bellamy and Newsome, are like, okay, this is a prove it year, or there's some people who might be taking the job if they don't perform.
Yeah, so we're not in sync on the two coaches. We're 50 on
Okay,
it. So
let's hear
we
the other
agree on
one.
Ron
Yeah.
Bellamy. That's where we
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
I'm actually okay with Grant Newsome because
Okay.
I believe in his trajectory as a coach and what is said about him in terms of a fast riser and very, easy to connect with players and things like that. So, we'll see how, I think Grant Newsome was a casualty of a lack of talent at certain positions, like right tackle last year. So we're going to find out, right? We're going to find out if the offensive line takes a step up next season. The other assistant coach who I have my concerns about is JB Brown.
Okay. I was going offense only, specialty. Yeah.
Shoot, you're right. Okay, so offense. So my bad. So I'm jumping ahead. Forgive me. All right.
That's
offense
fair.
only.
That's a fair
One offense only. It's just Ron Bellamy for me.
Okay.
But look, hey, if Ron Bellamy pulls a potential class projection of wide receivers, which we will talk about in the recruiting update, and this offense performs at a higher level with a Chip Lindsey and a Bryce Underwood, Mikey Keene at quarterback, well, then it's a big year for him. It's a big year for Ron Bellamy, and maybe he can prove the haters wrong, like Ward Manuel's proving a lot of haters wrong right now. So, it's a big year there, and that is the area where I have my biggest concern. But again, they added a assistant coach who has 6 straight years of 1,000-yard production wide receiver, 3 All-Americans, drafted first-round wide receivers, and Soup Campbell. So I mean, yeah. So my grade, John, is for offense, I'm at a B plus.
Okay.
I'm at a B plus.
Okay. And I'm going to go for a solid B. Okay. So I don't think we're far off. I mean, look, if you had asked me what I thought the offense grade was under Kirk Campbell, it would have been in the closer in the C minus, maybe even D plus range, because of the statistics, that it was one of the worst passing offenses in the country. Passing isn't everything, but only above the service academies.
Probably D plus, really, or D. I mean,
I think a significant increase, and the significant increase comes from Chip Lindsey, but it also comes from some of these assistants that have been added in that I think are going to add a significant, and it comes down to day-to-day practice. TJ, it comes down to what drills are they running, right? And some of these, like Soup Campbell, is going to know some drills that worked really well to help mold somebody like a Braylon Edwards, right? And that's extremely valuable to have on the table.
Yeah, I mean, he'll know how to, do technical drills, build up their skill sets, build up their level, maybe teach them things regarding film that they're not aware of, or, there's coaching matters. At the end, Dusty may have, I don't know how often, I'm sure there's some viewers here who can relate, or maybe they ask themselves the same question, but I'm asked from friends, how much does coaching really matter, regardless of sport? Look, man, look at the Detroit Pistons with JB Bickerstaff. Look at the Detroit Red Wings with Todd McElwain. Look at what Dusty May has done with the Michigan basketball team. Coaching is so critical, and it goes for position coaches as well. When you have, how did the offensive line improve under Sherrone Moore, right? The coaching is so critical to a player's development. Now, some players have so much skill It doesn't matter. You can have a coach who isn't the best tactician, and still have an elite player because they are just elite. But typically, you need a coach who's going to develop these guys, build these guys, and be able to teach them how to read what they are seeing on the field. That's another area that's severely underlooked. And a guy like Sue Campbell with all the years of experience, he should be able to provide that for these guys.
For sure. And the reason I put Grant Newsome in now, by the way, I'm not at all saying Bellamy and Newsome are in the same category as questionable. Everybody knows how I feel about Bellamy being in a league of his own. But my issues with Newsome were player evaluation. And looking at a player like Evan Link earlier in the season and deciding that he was their best option when he was letting people in left and right early in the season. Players like Judice, right? Judice, who like that. Those types of players made me really question the personnel evaluations going on. And we know that practice can be a lot different than game. And so maybe in practice, they were absolutely destroying it. It's very possible. But once you start seeing how they're doing in real games, gotta make some shifts sometimes.
Yeah. And, again, but as, I agree. We agree. But Sherrone Moore is going to need, this year is going to be a big year for that. But, we're going to, you're like, well, player evaluations. Well, we got to remember Harbaugh had a bit of a strict approach. As we can see with Sherrone, it's a bit, let's just say, the level of prospect is higher. So that should give this coaching staff a better quality clay, right? A better quality of clay that they can mold and build these players into elite players.
Just going to ask everybody in chat to be good to each other. Let's treat each other with respect, whether you're a Wolverine or a Buckeye. Thanks so much. We do have a couple real quick. We'll get to defense here in a second, but we thank you to Russell Harris for the 2. Really appreciate that. And also Wolverine in Ohio. We're going to get to the recruiting segment, although I don't know if Chris Henry is in it this week, TJ. But yeah, clear to socials of Ohio State. Very interesting.
I was just gonna show that. So check this out. He clears his bio. See, all right. I was trying to listen. We told the Buckeyes he's listening to NIL offers. I got that. We told them I was told he's listening to NIL offers. Michigan's pitching in. Now this is not about strictly Michigan. This is about he is still, even though committed to Ohio State, he is still listening to offers. And the Buckeyes, they don't want to hear that. They live in delusion land. So here we go. There's your little time's a ticking, bro. You got the hourglass going right now, and
wow.
No Ohio State mentioned in the bio. And so here's where we are, and here's the reality of this too. It's February. Teams are offering whatever they're offering. And I'm going to tell you, when it comes to these top 50 kids, top 100, even top 200, but some kids not all kids have the same approach. But these top 50 kids, it's highest bidder for the most part. And I'm going to tell you, if this is not a negotiation tactic, which quite honestly, as effed up as it is, it could be a negotiation tactic for Ohio State to continue upping their offer. But to up your offer in February is a dangerous game. So a lot of these teams are going to let these things play out, which we're going to talk about in the recruiting update because we have some big time prospects Michigan's pursuing. It's interesting to see the current trajectory of the Chris Henry recruitment, and it's something we'll be paying attention to because yes, we didn't get an official visit, but Michigan is in communication with him and his agent. So we'll see where that goes.
Yes. Stay tuned. And we also want to thank Tom Bouchard, who just gifted a Those Who Stay Will Be Champions membership to Marty McFly. We have Marty McFly somewhere in chat. Hopefully he's come back to the future and go ahead and hit that refresh button to enjoy those emojis. So let's get back to our segment here. And let's switch gears to the defensive side of the ball. So I didn't notice as many names with the defense side in terms of the assistants. We did get an assistant D-backs coach, Brad Hawkins, and outside linebackers, Pernell McPhee.
Yes, former NFL
and,
player.
Yep, and Lionel Stokes, safety coach.
Right.
But it does seem like that it was more on the offensive side of the ball that they felt the need, which makes a lot of sense.
Right. Which again points to the thing where it's like, okay, where's the weakness on the coaching staff? Because we all saw that defense started performing top 10, top 5 towards the end of the year. Right. So it's already a sound defense. Wink is still here. The coaching staff's still intact. So why would you adjust what you already have, right? You already have a very well-structured defensive side of the ball. You have the right coaches to teach the scheme and develop the players. We saw development. We saw the scheme do better. Defensive side of the ball has no concern. So, like, again, if you just observe the moves that Sherrone is making, he is telling you, not through words, but through action, what are areas of the football team he identifies that needs to improve. And there's no doubt it's the offensive side of the ball. Defensive side of the ball is in a good place. It doesn't mean be complacent. There's always room for improvement every day, get better, right? But we have a lot of good players on that side of the ball. We have the coaching staff in place on that side of the ball. I am anticipating another strong year defensively on that side of the ball.
Yeah, so just looking at the coaching, the full-time coaching hires there, obviously Wink Martindale coming back as D coordinator, who I think made tremendous strides as you get down the season, changed his approach to be more college friendly. You could tell the adjustments, you could tell that more intelligent decisions were being made to adjust to the college game. But it wasn't just Wink. Lamar Morgan, obviously D-backs coach and pass game coordinator, has been absolutely crushing it on the recruiting trail, doing a tremendous job. Brian Jean-Marie, linebackers, and Lou Esposito, D-line coach. And you can't argue with the results of what they just did.
Nope.
You just can't. Keeping the national champion to 10 points, and then going and with Michigan's number 2s primarily, stopping Alabama's number 1s, and holding them and winning that game was a tremendous accomplishment, those last 2. And I give this staff an A on the defensive side of the ball. I think straight up. I mean, I think it's the only thing Brian Jean-Marie's recruiting has been maybe not my favorite, but I'm not, but you know what? The results on the field at the end of the season kind of gave me the confidence to make that call.
Dude, exactly. I mean, look at the on-field development, Houseman and Barham, the way they're playing at all Big Ten level, man. And you did bring in Nathan Owasu-Boateng. I mean, he's a top player, elite player. Brian Jean-Marie, what's interesting about Brian Jean-Marie is he's actually considered a whale hunter. He's considered a big-time recruiter. Former recruiting director for Texas. One of the always has been, not always, but typically is above at the top of the list for recruiting. He is the linebackers coach who did bring in Junior Colson to Michigan. I anticipate this season, this 2026 class, to have a stronger, I would say, result at the linebacker room. But let's also be honest, he brought in Todd Bowles, a nice transfer portal addition. Chase Taylor and Nathan Owasu-Boateng, they're quality players. Chase Taylor, I'm actually high on. I do think he'll get some playing time at about year 3, year 4, the latest, but probably year 3. It's just I agree with that. Is a staff an A? I mean, it's so interesting. Lou's an excellent technical coach, developer. He is a good recruiter, although I think we would argue we'd like to see that up a notch, even though he did bring Nate Marshall and co. Lamar Morgan is possibly one of the best not even possibly one of the best recruiters in the nation. He might be a top 3. If he's not top 3, then you're drunk. And then Brian Jean-Marie is a whale hunter. We got to see him start closing some big dogs now. Mm-hmm. JB Brown's the one that's in question, right? He's really you ever see the picture of the dragons and the one dragon's out of place, or you see you got the soldiers and you got the one guy, I won't say what he is, but you got the guy out of place. That's JB Brown. So
yeah. And here we go with that. Let's talk special teams. Let's do it.
And that's the other thing too, John, is like special teams. JB Brown, it wasn't good. Zavada was good. But
Yes.
again, that's one of those things where the player's elite is the coaching elite.
Like a
No.
Roman Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. For Ron Bellamy.
In
Right. So
2023.
yeah. So I mean, it's this is so yeah. So this is where this is where I have some concern on the roster in terms of the staff. It's JB Brown. Prove
Yep.
me wrong though. We admit when things change, like Ward Manuel. I'm actually becoming pro Ward Manuel, which is hilarious because I was
Well,
very anti Ward Manuel.
he made hey, look, he made a
He's
great play to
he's
keep
he's
Dusty.
he's a he's a proactive athletic director these days. Okay, and he's making good decisions, making good ass decisions. The part, I mean, so again, this is on the coaching staff, so we won't get into Ward Manuel, but like, yeah, the trajectory of the entire program just is in a good spot. But yeah, I mean, to the special teams point, JB Brown, I do have some concerns. Prove me wrong, JB Brown.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a C right now. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'd go
because
with C minus.
yeah, because I think at the end of the day, like I think Zvada is bumping up that score a little bit for me from
Of
a D.
course,
Because
NFL.
obviously one of the best kickers in the country, if not the best kicker in the country, coming
Right.
back and being able to convince him to come back for another year. That's something you got to give him. We can't give him all the credit because obviously Sherrone is part of that too, but I do think there's some credit there. The punting was very uneven at times
Awful.
last season.
Awful.
Abysmal at times. And yeah, so some of the missteps throughout the season on special teams. So yeah, that is the side of the ball. If we're going to talk about all three phases, that yeah, we're a little concerned. Will the new analyst, will the new assistant special teams coordinator James Brown help out? Very possible. But right now, that's kind of where it looks like we've got it somewhere hovering around the C plus range or C
Yeah. So
minus range.
we're just gonna have to find out. This is one of those ones where time will tell, and we'll see. Spring game isn't going to give us the answer because it's not live. So we'll find out during the season if they get it together.
For sure. We do have some. Oh, let's. So how about overall? So we've got right now B plus B for offense. We've got A for defense. C minus for special teams. So just rounding that out overall. It's looking somewhere in the A minus B plus range, right?
So
Overall,
I'm B plus. I'm a B
B
plus right
plus.
now. We need to see a balance defensively. Well, defensively is fine, but we need to see a balance on both sides of the ball. Offense has got to get it together. We need minimally a top 40 offense, which I think we do have the players and the coaches in place to achieve that. So that's where I'm at. I'm at a B plus. I think Sherrone is doing a good job. We'll see though once again things get live and the results hit the field.
For sure. Well, I'll go with you on that B plus. And part of that has to do with the staff coming back and the results last season were not until the end of the season weren't what we wanted, but definitely higher than we would have been giving it this in November or just
Oh yeah.
with the rankings of the offense and the special teams.